super respectful. I was here like 2 minutes early. So yeah.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was nice to meet you in person as well. For everybody who doesn't follow Emilija, please go check her out. She has beautiful content, astrology-wise, and for meditation as well. Go check her YouTube channel. I love how she combines astrology with meditation and helps you with her guidance. So thank you very much for that. Very, very useful, very practical, and useful energy. So what are your big threes? Because you're so practical. Tell us, please.
You know, really funny. My moon is in Virgo, so maybe that's where sort of the
Yes, it is.
practicality comes from.
Yeah, yeah.
And my sun is at 0 degrees Aquarius. So it's possible that
Ooh.
right because it's at, right, it entered Aquarius right when I was born. I think that that maybe also has a play. I have a little bit of a Capricorn energy, perhaps. And then
That's
finally, my ascendant is Leo, which I think describes the fact that I'm like, I don't know, on social media and that
awesome.
me, I guess. Yeah.
Nice blend. Actually, nice blend. You have a little bit of everything. I love it. The Virgo moon for sure is the one who is organizing and wants to be of
Yeah.
service and help people,
Yeah.
especially with their health. So
What's yours?
absolutely, I would. I'm a Gemini sun and Gemini moon and Virgo rising.
I
Yes.
love it so much,
Yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah. So I'm Mercury person for sure. So
I
that's my signature.
love it. Well, that
Awesome.
really makes sense, right? Because
Yes.
you're meeting people and you're talking and you get to see all of the different
Yeah.
input from others. So,
And
right.
Mercury is in Gemini and midheaven is in Gemini. So
I
make
love
more sense.
I love it.
Yeah, blah blah blah. But I like to. What I like when I talk, I really like to be educational and fun. So that's also because Stellium is a ninth house, so I have that urge to educate and help people, and I don't want to say preach, but let's say teach.
I love it.
Cool. Okay, tell us. We have a full moon. This is the last one of the big super full moons of the season, right? So tell us more. This is a very important full moon. Tell us, please.
Yeah, it's let's just start with like the basics. I have my notes right here, so if you see me looking to the
Yes.
side, that's why. I have 29th of September, so at 11 a.m. This is in Amsterdam, so
Mhm.
you might have to adjust in your time zone as to where it's happening. I think then for your time zone, Yasmina, it would be somewhere in like early morning on the
Early,
29th,
yes.
right?
So I am like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So early in
behind.
the morning for you, yeah, exactly. And we will have the sun in 6 degrees of Libra and the
Mhm.
moon in 6 degrees of Aries.
Yeah.
So that's sort of just the basics of it. But I think one of the first places that I wanted to start is from a more high level and then sort of zoom
Mhm.
in as to what's actually happening around this moon, full moon. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is fall has just begun, right?
Mhm. Yesterday. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the way I think of it, like we reached our equilibrium where day and night are the same length. And now we've already started heading into this place where the days get shorter
Mhm.
and the nights get longer. Um, so in a way, I start to see this full moon as symbolizing like the descent into darkness. Um,
Yes.
Not because it's necessarily like a bad moon or something. It's nothing to be afraid of, but I had my Astro Gold pulled up, and for those that don't know it, you are allowed to sort of fast forward, and you
Mhm.
see all of the planets like moving through the wheel. And what was really interesting for me is that you really start to see how these planets are slowly coming together to align for the big eclipse that we have happening in about 2, 3 weeks.
Yes.
So to
Mm.
me, it was sort of looking at this full moon, I really got the sense of like, okay, we're descending into the darkness. Um, and I think a lot of that darkness will sort of find its peak during eclipse season as well. Just seeing everything sort of move towards that
I
six
feel it's more.
10 degrees of
Yeah.
Libra. Yeah.
I feel it's a more of an introverted energy coming up, right? So we during the summer we are more extroverted, just all of us. Like doesn't even matter how what we are, but it's just going out. We want to be socializing. Now it's kind of like okay, it's time to kind of
Oh, for
be with
sure.
yourself, just different. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree 100%. Yeah. Then one of the sort of the second things I wrote, sort of heading deeper in, it's a full moon, right? So what this means for those that don't know, even though I think
Yes.
mostly everybody here is quite well educated, we have the sun and the moon on opposite parts in the sky from each other. And I read something that I thought was really interesting. Think, like what happens when they're opposing each other? The sun is shining its bright light and illuminating the moon. The
Hmm.
sun is shining a bright light and illuminating our internal processes, our emotions, our feelings, right? Things that have to do with our body. It's a very emotional type of physical nature of the moon. So you might find also that during this full moon, right, we're descending into darkness and it's a full moon. So there might be stuff coming up that have maybe been hidden that are getting illuminated.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the things that I think could be interesting is this could be an easier way to deal with some of the themes that might come up with eclipse season. Like if you deal with them now, eclipse season will not be as intense.
Yeah,
That's sort of the way I'm
especially because
looking at it.
yeah, because especially it's connected with Libra and Aries energy, the eclipses, and this full moon for people who don't know. So that's why maybe it's even more highlighted. Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah. So if you imagine sort of the sun is right at the beginning degrees of Libra for this full moon.
Mhm.
And it's slowly as we get closer to, I think it's October 14th
Yes.
for the eclipse,
Yeah.
slowly it's sort of moving closer to meet the node and Mars towards the end of degrees of Libra. Um, so for me, indeed, I look at it like, hey, be a little bit aware around this full moon, see if anything's being illuminated. And if so, see if you have the strength and the courage to deal with it now, because then eclipse season should potentially be a bit easier. I look at it sort of like, I don't know how you call it, the pre-run or something. Like my boyfriend watches Formula One. It's sort of like the qualifying or the pre-race.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially for people who have Aries moons, right? Or Libra suns, or I mean, they have some. They're going to be even more affected by this. I feel because there's going to be a sense of impatience. There's going to be like a flavor of impatience and just wanting to. It's a full moon, so you want to kind of finish it up or.
Yeah. No, for sure, especially because the moon is in Aries, right? Um, and a moon in Aries can be very instinctual, right? And like, I don't want to wait. I want to go. So definitely, yeah, there might be some of that feeling around the full moon for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, see, Joe says, damn it, I got an Aries moon. Yeah, this one, I don't know what degrees of your moon is, but this feels, for sure, I feel all Aries moon will be affected. It doesn't matter. I mean, the strongest one with is around the 6 degrees, but but I think that all Aries moons will
Yeah.
be affected. We have a question. What about having Libra, Jupiter in Libra and Saturn in Libra? Um, Also,
Yeah.
Sun is going to probably, yeah, go ahead,
No,
Amelia. Yeah.
no, I was also curious, like if you can both share with us what degrees. Oh, awesome, 16. Nice. Um, because indeed, I think that October's gonna might feel more intense for you, right? So anybody that has Libra, Aries, but even I would say Capricorn and Cancer, because then you'll be squared by all of this stuff
Mhm.
happening. Um, but I would say indeed anywhere from like the sun has entered Libra officially, so anywhere from now until the end of October, once the sun sort of we finish eclipses and the sun starts to transition out of Libra, you will feel it a bit more intense, yeah.
Yeah,
And
you,
depending
you
on
said
like
you
which
said you
planet it is, sorry,
yeah, like you said it well. It's an
yeah,
opening. Like this is an opening act for what's coming up in the next month. Absolutely, I agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And depending on like which planets it touches, it will bring up different themes, right? So for example, we had one of the was Saturn and Jupiter, right? So if it's, if it's crossing on your Jupiter, you might start to see questions come up around your faith, for example,
Mhm.
right? Or if it's passing over your Saturn, you might start to see questions around maturity and being an adult, sort of facing reality. So you can sort of start to play that way with how it will mean,
Yeah, yeah.
what it will mean for your chart.
More responsibilities even because full moon is like it's like something. Okay, now you have to take more responsibilities in this area of your life. So Joe, the full moon is in 6 degrees, so it's not close to your. It's 10 degrees, or but it's still. I still feel because it's a moon and it's fast moving object in the sky. It affects
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
Aries. Yeah.
All right, let me see.
What else is
Yeah, so
interesting?
note
Mm-hmm.
that I had was indeed the moon is an Aries, which we talked about. So one of the things that I wanted to mention is it might be an energetic, a spontaneous moon. You might feel like moving and getting things going. So I would also encourage, don't be afraid to be bold during this time. That was
Mm-hmm.
sort of one of the things that came up for me. Because we have Venus making some nice aspects, and because Mars is in a more calm sign, Mars is in Libra, I feel like being brave at this time won't be like um, the risk of things going wrong when we're brave during this full moon, I feel like are a little bit less. That was
Okay.
things that came up for me as well. Yeah.
I oh I dig that. To be honest, that's really something. And I'm just thinking, but because Mars is also in Libra, and we have this moon, full moon, maybe doing something with somebody in a
Yeah.
partnership, like just one on some kind of action, just do something together. Like because Mars is in Libra, because this impatient moon is gonna trigger us to do something. So just do something maybe with somebody.
No,
I don't know.
no,
I don't
I
know
love
what play tennis. I don't know. I was thinking, what can you do in a which sport can you do in a in a
I
partners?
love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I love it. And it's also bringing up to me right now, like sometimes if we're impatient and we feel like, oh, I just want to do that thing, I want to get there, I want to accomplish my goal. Sometimes we can go farther if we have the help of somebody, right? If we get in partnership with somebody and we couple together, I bring my skills, you bring your skills. So this could be indeed an interesting full moon to take a look at how partnership with others can help you get to where you want as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned Venus. How does Venus help? Because she's a ruler of this sun now,
Yeah.
right? And all in Mars.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just like scrolling down through my notes.
Sorry,
So
I'm a Gemini. Don't mind me, please.
that's okay.
I
That's
skip.
okay. So yeah, Venus is still in Leo. Like, oh my God, Venus has just been like chilling in Leo all summer. Venus is sort of about to end its transit in Leo. It's at the ending degrees of Leo during this full moon. And one of the interesting things that I like about what Venus is doing during the full moon is that it is sextiling the Mars and South Node conjunction. Um,
Yeah.
and it's also trining let me see. Oh, it's trining the North Node, of
Yeah.
course, but it's
Yeah.
squaring Uranus.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I love this. One of the sort of the things I had to think of is Venus we associate with love, but it's a
Hmm.
different type of love from Neptunian love. Neptunian
Hmm.
love is about all-encompassing, non-conditional type of love, whereas Venus is I get to choose and pick who I love. I get to choose and pick my values. I get to choose and pick how to decorate my home, what partners to
Yeah,
have.
it's more tangible, right? This is Venus is more
Exactly.
tangible. Neptune is more out there, seeking something. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
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 And having that in Leo, all summer,
Mhm.
I really feel like we've had a lesson this summer on being picky with who we choose to validate us.
Mhm.
One of the things that the sign of Leo can struggle with is looking for validation from others. Like, see me, I'm
Yeah.
performing, clap for me.
Yeah.
Um, And having sort of Venus go slowly and then retrograde, I feel like we've had this nice lesson this summer. And I'm curious from everybody that's watching if you identify with this. But we've had a nice lesson as to like, do I actually care if that person validates me? Like, is that person in a place of
Yeah.
life that I want to go to? Do I admire them? Should I even care about their opinion? Um,
That's why we had so many breakups. I'm not even, I don't, I'm not surprised at all. So,
yeah,
like the ones that we know of, okay, Leo, celebrities, but many other people that we don't even know of also break up in everyday life. I have clients and friends, and
yeah,
many things happen. So,
no, for sure. Yeah, it's
yeah.
that's you can see that with the with hard Venus aspects, the breakups. Yeah. And I think
Mhm.
sort of so this lesson that we've had, it's interesting because we've sort of learned that, and now we're going into a period where we're, I feel like again, examine to see how we show up in partnerships. And the reason I bring this up is because we have the South Node in Libra. Whenever we're taking a look at the South Node from an evolutionary astrology perspective,
Yes, yeah, you have, yeah, yeah, I forgot to mention you're an evolutionary
yeah.
astrologer. Yes.
We want to take a look at the ways that we step into the unhealthy expression of that energy. So to me, sort of going into this whole eclipse season in October, you see a lot of people talk about like, oh, how can you bring more balance and more partnership into your life? But I see this eclipse season because the South Node is there, a little bit more of like, where have I been too compromising? Where have I had too much balance?
Mhm.
Um, where have I started to resent people because I actually did that thing for them and not for me? Um, so I
Yeah,
think it's
it's all.
really interesting.
Yeah, I
So
feel it. Yeah, I feel it's also going to be about justice and being fair. What is fair?
yeah,
What it's, because we forget that Libra is also about justice and fairness. So I think a lot of, how I as an individual am, in these partnerships, is this fair to me? I think many people are going to, the
uh,
culmination, this full moon is, I think, culmination of all this with this Venus, as you said, and an upcoming eclipse. It's going to be all about that, I feel, a lot.
I
Yeah,
love that, especially with the moon in Aries. It's very much about
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I love, is
My,
this fair to me?
yeah, my
Yeah,
emotional needs, like this is, I'm suffering, let's say, in a way that, I can't be myself or my authentics or whatever. So this is, I think, a lot of, yeah,
I love it.
justice is going to prevail.
I love it. Yeah, and like these lessons, like take a look back as to what you learned this summer with Venus being her crazy self. Um, See what you learned during the summer because I feel like some of those lessons might really help you during this full moon and during eclipse season as to really indeed take a look at like what do I need? What do I want? You know, where's the justice for me?
Yeah,
So that's why I'm really liking what Venus is doing in this full moon and in this eclipse season. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, with square Uranus, it's not, it is the urge to break free. I mean,
Yeah.
square will make you, I can't do this anymore. So
Ex-
yeah, we thought that when many people say, "Oh, Venus went direct, it's going to be easier." I said, "No, I don't think so." I felt that after the eclipse season, we can, when we go into late November, December, when some and the other planets go direct, then we're going to see some calming down regarding. I think it's
Yeah.
still brewing a
No,
lot.
definitely. And I think, you know, because this whole year and a half we have the South Node transiting through Libra, I think for everybody the year and a half will be very much about Venusian type of themes, right? Where are we um, letting go too much of our boundaries? And it's a way, in a way, it's really nice how we started this shift of the nodes with a Venus retrograde. In a way, it's sort of like a beautiful gift that we
Yeah,
got. That was like, oh, here you go. We'll help you get there faster.
yeah. I mean, even next year, good point. Next year, also eclipses are going to be connected with Aries and Libra. So when we have these nodes and all the eclipses, everything is happening about us and how we relate to others. So it's an ongoing theme for a long period. It's not going to end. Yeah. So these are just culminations. As you said, this full moon is like a little culmination, and eclipse another one, and then it will comes down, and again, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why indeed, like the way we sort of look at astrology from an evolutionary perspective is there are opportunities to choose how you respond. So in a way, I see the energy sort of building through eclipse season, and I think, the full moon is a place where it's the first place where we can choose to act on what we're feeling, on where we feel like we don't have justice for ourselves. Um, and if we don't, that's also fine, but just realize that maybe, next time there's another accumulation of energy, that it might sort of hit you in the face a little bit harder. If you didn't wake up with the alarm and you didn't wake up with the hello shake, wake up, you might wake up
Yeah.
with the slap, for example.
Yeah, and I'm thinking how this particular Venus is ruling so many planets in the moment, especially Uranus, Jupiter,
Yeah.
Sun. I think Mercury is going to go in Libra soon as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be so many things. This Venus is going to rule a lot. So it's all about Venus, actually. It's going to be all about Venus for the whole month
Yeah.
when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Let me see if there's anything else in my notes that I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I think one of the interesting things that we could also talk about that's happening during this full moon is that Mars and South Node conjunction. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not exactly 0 degrees at this full moon. I believe they're about 3 degrees apart, but they're slowly starting to get closer together.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
believe they meet before the eclipse, but still during the eclipse, they're quite close together. Um, when we take a look at Mars, especially when it's touching the south nodes, especially in Libra, you might find that you're starting to build up resentments or anger towards all of the ways that you have compromised in your partnerships, in all of the ways that you have sort of given a piece of yourself in order to keep the balance or to keep the peace. So I think also during this full moon, especially because, the moon is in Aries, we talked about
Mm-hmm.
energy and Mars is touching that south node. Just have a look that you're not sort of acting out of pain or anger.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially when something touches the south node, you might start to see those sort of subconscious acting out that you're like, oh, I don't even know where that came from. But all of a sudden I started like yelling and saying things that I've never said to this person. And you say
Yeah.
like some really
With
hurtful things.
Aries Moon, yeah, you won't think before you act. That's the problem. You will just say it. A lot of stuff I had to just mention that some of my clients have issues that brought money within the partnerships. So many people are going to feel, oh, how much money do I put? How much? What do I pay? What do you pay? It's also about money, guys. So that doesn't. It's not
Yeah.
just about how I value, but it's also about how much. It's literally that's what I had experiences with.
Yeah.
So letting go. I don't want to pay this anymore. This is your responsibility. Anyway, it's also about money.
No, and
What is Terry saying? You start saying it is not fair and wakes the warrior inside. Exactly. Yes, I like that.
yeah, Aries, the warrior, right? Like I
Yeah.
am I am fighting for myself. So that's beautiful imagery, yeah. And I love that you said, Yasmina, that it's also about money because one of the other things that Libra brings up in my head, it's also about how we line up intellectually with our partners because
Mhm.
Taurus is ruled by Venus, but it's a little bit about the tactile type of
Yeah, yeah,
Venus.
yeah,
Libra
yeah.
is ruled by Venus, but it's a little bit more about the intellectual type of
Yes,
Venus. So I can
yes.
also see that maybe some of the things that are coming up during this full moon and eclipse season is also about, do I line up intellectually and sort of with the understanding that I have of the world with my
Uh, I learned somewhere some astrologer said it. I don't know which one. Like I think it's Georgia Status. I think she's a business astrologer. So she said, I think it was her. We're gonna spend money for the things we value, right? So if we don't, if with our partners, if we don't have the same value system, like I want a fancy dinner. I don't care if I spend a lot of money on it, and your partner goes, how can you spend so much money on food? It's waste of money. So those kind of discussions about money is
Yeah.
where we, because Venus is also in Leo, she wants to be extravagant as well, right? So we're gonna, I buy a new purse. Why are you spending so much money? I'm
Yeah.
just, or whatever, guys, some technology, or going to a concert, or going to a sports event, like stuff that, we might disagree.
Yeah.
I find that with my clients lately, that it's coming up that we might disagree how we spend money, who is spending on what, and what are we value, and
I
stuff
love
like that. So that's also dissolving at this point. It's gonna maybe some, especially with this full moon, when like, this is it. I just, because it's fair. I deserve it. Like, I work, I deserve it. I want to have it, and that is, it's gonna be all about that. Those, yeah, that's what I
yeah.
feel. So,
No, and that totally makes sense, right? Because we still have, as part of the conversation, Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. And I've been spending a long time there, right? And Venus rules Taurus. So definitely the money discussion, 100%. It's going to be there.
yeah, I know. I'm just want to tell people just to be aware and try to understand always how the other person sees you. I was talking to somebody, I don't know which one, I have so many lives, but sometimes in the conversations, I find it interesting how the other person hears something different. So I always ask them, what did you hear me say? And I'm surprised. I didn't say that, but that person heard it.
Yeah.
So try to have like a little of, just more awareness of how the other person sees you, because anyway, it's going to be hard to be aware of, because that's how I feel. So just try to have that in
Yeah.
mind as a tip. I don't
Mm,
know.
amazing.
Yeah, I agree. You work, so spoil yourself. There you go. That's my friend. She's a Taurus. I know. That's why she I know why she says it. Yeah, I love it.
Did you
So
have
what do you
any,
think?
Yasmina, about the full moon that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think I mentioned. Look at all. I'm talking all the time, so I did mention a bunch of stuff. I think you covered it all very beautifully. What is really, really most important about it, and how it reflects and everything. But can you talk about? I know, because you're a evolutionary astrologer. Can you talk more about Pluto involved in this, because it's with the nodes. I know it's maybe not correctly with the full moon, but it is in a way, because it's ruling this node. It's squaring the nodes all the time, and the nodes are connected with this. So can you just give us a little bit of what your thought is about Pluto and all of this?
Sure, yeah. Pluto is our deep psyche, the things that we're sort of scared of, the things that the dark parts of ourselves that
Hmm.
we're not ready to see. And it can be wherever it is in our chart, the place where um, we're sort of scared to step fully into. Um, and especially, you're right, it's squared the nodes just a little bit a while ago,
Yeah, but it's
and now
still strong. I feel it's
it's
still
still strong.
strong. Yeah.
And the sun is going to start coming, and Mars is going to start coming into a square to it, so it's definitely going to be activated.
Yeah.
But especially when we're taking a look at Pluto and Capricorn, about tradition, um, and about hard work. And we have the nodes in Libra and Aries, which is about this balance between myself and partners, right? And how I
Mhm.
am with others. So I think that for the next sort of, whether the eclipse season, for the next year and a half, um, we'll be taking a look at what are some of the traditional ways that we view
Mm.
partnerships, and that we view the balance between being alone and being in a partnership. I think that that's a huge part. And of course, you have to take a look personally what houses it's in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the business partnerships, don't forget, because this is also really about business as well, a lot. So how
No, for
it's gonna be.
sure. It's
Mm.
yeah, Pluto's interesting. What I've read from it is it's the stuff that you don't necessarily have to deal with. Like it's sort of deep and dark under there. Like
Yeah.
if you want, you never have to touch it. But when we do choose to go through the difficult experience to actually deal with it, then we also find sort of our true power
Hmm.
and our true calling in a way. And that's one thing that I love about Pluto and actually also about Saturn. They're both sort of planets that are like, okay, it's going to be crazy. You're not going to have
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you put in the work, your reward's going to be like way,
Absolutely agree.
way better.
Absolutely. 100%. My Saturn is currently squaring my moon and Mercury all year because it's retrograding and then another. The last hit is in December,
Yeah.
but the next year is on my sun, so squaring my sun. So I just know the next 2 or 3 years it is what it is. I embraced hard work,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna probably see the results later than I think, and it's also fine. um, it is, if you work with energies, you're less frustrated and you kind of just embrace them. So that's why astrology is beautiful. It helps you be less frustrated and more in tune with, what is happening with your life and
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it's
I,
beautiful. I am going through Pluto on my sun,
yes, you said,
probably since March, right?
yeah, yeah,
So for the next, even like I think next
2 years,
year, the whole
even
of
two.
next year, I
Yeah.
think probably, or 2 years, did you say? Great, thanks.
Because it's going back to Capricorn a little bit next year, then it's gonna go. So I think all next and then 2025 as well.
Yeah, so I've
No.
really been looking at trying to reframe how I see Pluto,
Mhm.
because it's going back and forth over my sun. I'm really taking this exercise as to like, what am I afraid of? Writing down lists, trying to see if I can take steps towards that, to just do it. And also really taking a look at like, how can I step into my power? There are a lot of ways that we tell ourselves, all of ourselves, that, oh, well, like I can't do that. That's for people that are better than me. Or, oh, like I can't have that nice apartment. Like that's for rich people. And for me, I've really been looking at like, what are all the ways that I am holding myself back from stepping into my own power? So to sort of turn that Pluto story into something a little bit more productive, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. Pluto transits can be really, from my experience, very empowering and transformational. It's hard. I won't say that I had oppositions to all my Gemini placements and Moon and Sun, and back in the day, I went through many difficult things. But I came as a I literally shed my skin like a snake, and I live a different life completely now. Like my life in my 20s, before my Saturn return in 20s, and now that I look at my life, like what is in common, just my physical body. That's how I feel. But my lifestyle, what I do, who I interact with, all was transformed, purifying. So this is a great opportunity. It's hard because you have to kind of face your deep shadows, and you don't want to face them because they're, it's hard emotions. A lot of crying. I did a lot of crying. Uh, a lot. I feel crying is good. It's purifying. So don't be afraid to cry. Even reach for help if you need some kind of therapy. Not, I don't think mean like a psychiatrist or something, but just exploring your subconscious in a way.
Yeah.
Hypnotic regression. So I did that, or a bunch of other stuff that you can. I think it's for Pluto transits. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
And after that, you become like a, you're now in a cocoon. So you were a caterpillar. You're in a cocoon now, and then after 2 years, you're gonna be a beautiful butterfly.
I'm so excited. You're making me excited.
Right? This is
I'm excited to become this beautiful butterfly.
right. So now you're in a cocoon. You have to just stay in this cocoon and do your work. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. I have my best friend. She has this ascendant 1 degree Aquarius. So she's going that also. It's because it's Pluto is now also on the other side opposing her descendant. So she has
Yeah.
those kind of issues. And I told her, whatever it happens from now, don't avoid it, because she's
Yeah.
also Pisces sun. So she has a tendency, to avoid it. So I just told her, don't avoid it. Just face it. Whatever in your relationship is within
Yeah.
you, it's not good. I know it's hard. I'm here to support you, but oh, look at Sally. Thank you. I always say you're a strong girl. Thank you very much, Sally. Yeah, but I don't want to preach. I mean, this is what I'm preaching. I just want to help with experience,
No,
but
I love it. Yeah. One later, let's talk more about your Pluto transit because I'm
yeah,
really curious to hear from you.
absolutely.
Words
We
of
can
wisdom.
do, yes, we can do, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I think this was a great live. I think that we get, if do you guys have any questions, or Pernell is also here, and Hannah. Thank you everybody for joining. I love you guys. This is always feel so supported by this community.
Love it.
Um, yeah, having everybody
Yeah,
here.
I think while
Awesome.
like everybody's typing out their questions because we're gonna have so many questions. One of the things that I always find is, whether full moons or eclipses, to always just take a moment to come back to yourself and self-reflect. I think that's one of the strong things that astrology holds as a practice
Yeah.
is you can sort of be aware of what's happening, but without sort of removing yourself, taking a step, whether meditating, journaling, whatever, to just reflect like what happened, what am I feeling, how do I want to go forward? Um, like then you're okay. Like no matter what comes your way, you will be okay. And that's why I do those meditations on YouTube, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
because it really allows you to just take a second to step away, come back to yourself, and encourages that awareness with also what's happening astrologically as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, this full moon is gonna put us all in a little bit of self, not, yeah, as you said, the sun is shining and reflecting on our inner world, so we have to face it for a full moon. Every full moon, actually. I like that. Especially this one is going to be cool. Awesome. I think this was amazing. You gave us so many interesting things to think about and ponder. And guys, please, for this full moon, especially because Emilia was my guest, go see her meditation, guided meditation, and do meditation with her for this full moon. As a gift to her, I would love that. Yeah, because it's really, really nice.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you very. Yeah, it was nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you. For sure, we can talk more. I'm always up for
Yeah.
it.
Oh
Astrology
God, we should
is
do a live where we just talk about Pluto transits. That would be amazing.
absolutely. I love that. I love that. I'm all for it. We'll make a deal. I think after eclipse season, I
I
think I'm
love it.
gonna
Yeah,
do
let's
more.
just like hide during eclipse
Yes,
season.
yes. Let's try to get it to eclipse, and then in November it's going to be much easier. And Pluto is going direct, also, guys, beginning of October. Then Saturn is going direct, beginning of November, mid-November. So it's going to be much, much easier. I feel later. Thank you so much, Sally. Thanks, Pernell, for nice thoughts and kisses and hugs. Um, talk to you soon as well, Amelia. Have the great rest of the weekend, and have a great full moon.
Thanks,
Bye.
you too.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. Bring on the clip season. Yeah. Thanks, Hannah. Cool. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.